Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at Raiden Fighters Aces for the Xbox 360. I figured I've reviewed plenty of shooters that are Japan exclusives, so it would be nice to review one that was at least released in North America. And in an interesting twist, the Japanese version is actually the much more expensive of the two. This game was originally released in Japan in 2008, where it was published by Success, the same company behind the Cotton series and Guardian Force, while in the States it was published by Valcon Games. It's a compilation of all three games in the Raiden Fighters series, which are sequels to the original and ever so awesome Raiden series by Seibu Kaihatsu. So if you're already a Raiden fan, then this is a game you'll want to look out for. So it's Raiden, essentially. There's not too much to elaborate on in the gameplay department. These are just really solid shooters, almost perfect if I'm being completely honest, and each of the three games on the disc varies slightly in its gameplay. The biggest difference from one to the other is in the number of ships you have available and how they play. The first game gives you 7 unique ships to choose from, which is a lot by shooter standards, while the second and third games give you a whopping 14 different ships to choose from, which is insane. Most shooters I play max out at maybe 5 ships tops, plus each ship varies in its speed and handling and features 2 different fire modes that can be powered up multiple times. You can also pick up 2 little helper ships to aid you in battle, again each ship having its own unique ones, and you of course get some powerful super bombs that clear the screen of enemies and bullets and deal huge damage to bosses. All of that aside, if you strip these games down to just their basic gameplay, they are outstanding. Even if there was only one playable ship, this would be a game that I'd have a hard time putting down because it plays so well. The controls are tight and responsive, the hit detection is on point. These are very fast-paced and challenging shooters with lots of variety and some great boss battles, plus there are several difficulty options available if you want more or less challenge. Simply put, Raiden Fighters Aces is one of the best shooters available for the 360, which is saying a lot, because if you know anything about shooters on the 360, then you know that there are a lot of really good ones. This definitely stands up there with anything I've played from Cave, 5PB, or Arc System Works. It's top-notch stuff. As good as the gameplay is in Raiden Fighters Aces, the presentation is really good too. In fact, it's arcade perfect. These are 3 games that were released between 1996 and 1998, so they look like arcade games from that time. But if you like shooters from that era and you like mid-90s arcade graphics, then this is just right. Lots of color and detail in every stage, cool looking ships and enemies, huge bosses, and the whole game moves at a brisk pace with plenty of explosions and other cool effects. No complaints at all with the visuals, and none with the sound design either. In fact, I think the soundtrack is one of the standout features in these games. It's loaded with the kind of high-intensity music that I like in shooters. It's just one intense techno track after the other, and I really dig it. It complements the gameplay very well, and on top of that, the sound effects are great too, from the sounds of the various guns and lasers in the game to the awesome explosions. So all things considered, this is about as good of a shooter and about as good of an arcade translation as you're likely to find anywhere. Great visuals, great sound design, and picture perfect gameplay. So, Raiden Fighters Aces is a great compilation and a game I'd recommend picking up to shooter fans. It's one of my favorites on the 360, and like I said at the start of the review, it was released in both Japan and North America, and at 30 to 40 bucks, the North American version is the much more affordable of the two, with the Japanese version going for well over $100 online. Sometimes more than 200, which is a lot to ask for any game, even a shooter as good as this one. Whatever way you can, though, if you're a shooter enthusiast and haven't yet tried the Raiden Fighters games, you should go out of your way to do so. They are awesome.